Okay, welcome to the Retro Game Club podcast. This is season 3, episode 14, also known as episode 86. And I am Rob. With me, as always, is someone who is also getting a remake, Hugh.
Yeah, hopefully with enhanced graphics this time around.
Yeah, a little more polygons. So what's been going on?
Not a ton. For whatever reason, I've been really fascinated by like non-gaming things that constantly show up in gaming news feeds. Mm-hmm. I mentioned like a couple weeks ago something called the Snyder Cut, which I still don't really understand what that is. And in the past week, it's been something called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then another thing called Super League.
League? I don't know what that one is.
Yeah, it's in a lot of news feeds that I follow. It seems to be soccer related. And the first one appears to be a Marvel TV series.
Yeah, I've been watching it. It's not bad, but I actually really like it. My problem with it is that if you haven't watched at least 6 of the recent Marvel movies, good luck knowing what's going on. But it's
that
actually
was my question. Like a lot of people talked about this other thing called, was it called WandaVision? Was that the name?
Yeah.
And it looked kind of interesting, but I also heard you had to watch at least 9 or 10 movies to understand it. Yeah,
Disney Plus did do a good thing where they made kind of recaps of the movies, or at least the characters, which is actually a really good idea. But again, there's like 15 of them. They're not long. They're only like 5 or 10 minutes, but so I enjoy it all because I've seen it all. But I can understand there's a little entry fee you got to pay to get in. You need that knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, I think like The Mandalorian. I mean, I've seen all the Star Wars stuff, but I feel like if you saw the original trilogy, you could watch The Mandalorian and be fine.
Or even the first movie. You really just need the first movie.
No, you at least need to get up through who Boba Fett is and how he nearly died. You at least have to get that far. So in other news, Hallmark announced their video game ornaments this year. And if you go to their site, you can kind of filter by release date. But there's a few, some of them are interesting, some are kind of bad. There's like a new Donkey Kong, Mario Kart one. There's these pixelized Zelda ones. The article I'm going to link to does not have it, but there's a Sub-Zero ornament as well.
Ooh, cool. Yeah, I checked. These are really nice. Do you know when you could actually buy them?
You go on the site and you use the filters on the left, and you can see what date they come out.
Okay.
Most of them are October. But Hallmark, if you go into your we're not sponsored by Hallmark, but like if you go into your local Hallmark store, they essentially have like I don't know if it's a pre-order or reservation system, but you can just show, tell them which ornaments you want, and pretty much there will be one waiting for you on the day it's released.
Oh, that's cool. I might do these for these because the last time I've been inside a mall, Hallmark, because I'm not a 7-year-old woman, was when I was really young. Yeah, when the California raisins were a new thing, and I would collect those guys. That's where they were sold. So that's the last time I've been in a Hallmark.
Okay, I was just in one last week.
What do you do in them?
Like I got a bunch of birthdays and like Mother's Day cards I got to get.
That makes sense. I forget. Yeah, Hallmark cards. That totally.
Yeah, you can get them at like the grocery store, I suppose. But the Hallmark store is a very calming place.
I believe it. Yeah.
I feel like you could just meditate in the middle of the store and no one would even notice.
That's great.
They even have they have like a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie Monopoly game there.
Oh man, I know a few people that would love that.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I think I'm gonna buy it for myself.
Nice.
And then the other thing is like, I guess on social media we had some debate. I'm not going to read all the responses because some of them are kind of long, about what was actually the best year for gaming. Mm-hmm. And I just remember that I actually wrote like a little piece comparing like 3 years that I thought were all potentially the best. And some of them were newer. I 95, 2007, and 2017.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check out that article yet, but I definitely will.
Yeah, I did it a while ago, and it's not very good. But that's about it for me. What have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of our Game Club games, but I also started Shadow of the Colossus because I was going through my PS4 games and Switch games, and there are so many I want to play. And this is one of those where it's like, you know what? If I don't play this now, I'm just never going to play it. Because it's always a game where it looks cool, but there's always something that looks cooler that I want to play. And so I am 3/4 of the way through that, and it seems it's a pretty shallow game. I like it, but it seems more like a tech demo. Like, there is no story at all. It's pretty much just go fight these big things. See ya when you're done. That's it. I'm not complaining about it, but it's just different than I thought it would be. And it has the dumbest horse in any video game ever. The horse you have to ride is horrible to control. And when you whistle for it, I think sometimes it just gets stuck. It is not a smart animal. Have you played that game?
No. And you're not really... you're not really selling it for me.
No, I think if you like, it's cool, but if you go your whole life and you miss that one, you didn't miss too much. I could see how it was mind blowing though in the PS2 era. So there's some context there. But I think Zach and I and another friend of mine also proved that PS5s actually don't exist still.
Okay.
I have 4 people looking for PS5s for me now. They're also looking for themselves as well. Twitter alerts, all this stuff. And I forget which store had them in stock, but we were in within 2 minutes and they were gone. And then yesterday, PlayStation did a direct sale where you go to the site. It's like direct.playstation.com or something. And you sit in a queue, and it's random. And then after a while, you get to another queue that's actually in the store. So there's 2 different lines you have to get in. Both are random, meaning when you get there, what spot you get put in line. It doesn't matter, if someone was there longer than you or vice versa, which I think is kind of cool. It kind of mixes things up so the people that saw it the first second aren't just the only people that'll get it. And you have to do a few things to prove you're human, which I'm sure bots can get around anyway. But it was only 1 PlayStation per person. And after an hour-ish in queue, by the time we got there, they were sold out. So I knew that was coming when it's like, you have 45 minutes left to wait. And then 10 minutes later, it's like, you have 3 minutes left. You have 1 minute left. You're in the store. They're all sold out. So there you go. PlayStation 5s don't exist. But
so what is it you want to play on the system?
So I have there's 2 games I have. I have the what's it called? Immortal Rise of the Phoenix, something like that, which looks like a Breath of the Wild knockoff, which looks cool. And then there's another game I bought too that I can't even remember which one it is, which I own as well. Plus, I'm really excited for that new Ratchet and Clank game. So there's a few more, but none come to mind right now.
Okay.
And but yeah, we're both kind of pressed for time today, so I guess we should kind of power through this one, huh?
Yeah, let's do that. So Sony will still sell you PS Vita and PS3 games, including PlayStation 1 classics. So they're backtracking on shutting down those stores, which they said they were going to do like a week ago.
Yeah, and they said their reasoning that they wanted to shut them down was so those people could spend more time focusing on new things. But how much support do these stores actually take? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like they could just throw them up on an AWS VM and just let it sit. Like, it doesn't need like a whole server farm at this point.
Probably not. No.
So, yeah.
No, I'm mostly concerned about, like, Vita games I've bought, but because the Vita uses a overpriced proprietary memory card that I don't have on the system anymore. You know what I mean? So if you want to get, like, a game that you bought, but you don't have it on the system, will you still be able to do that? That's all I care about.
Yeah. Well, have you seen those SD card to proprietary PSP?
I have, and I don't know. I guess I should probably just get one of those.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I got one for the Vita, and it works great.
I mean, I do back the thing up to my PC, so I at least have the games on my PC. Because you can do that.
A good idea. Yeah, I always forget you could do that.
Yes, but you have to have Windows, and even then, I don't think it works with Windows 10. So
Probably.
You have to have a Windows 7 VM, and then you can do this.
Yeah, and then you have to back that up as well.
Right. Yes, it's quite a process. 12-year-old J.J. Styles in his local TV show. So this is about a person who in 1997 basically invented Twitch.
Did you hear of this guy before this?
No, never. First of all, I read the title as AJ Styles, who is a pro wrestler, who is also a big retro game collector. So I thought this was actually 12-year-old AJ Styles. They have the same haircut, basically, so it seemed possible. And it's not 1993. This is really old. He did this. And this was a public access show where he answered mail, like literal mail, from viewers with game tips, and streamed, So, like, one of the episodes I watched was he did a walkthrough of Shadowrun for Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So that's not a game that you can beat in an hour, but he actually kind of had it edited where, like, you're walking through the game in an hour. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good effort.
Yeah. Oh, if I knew about this in 93, I would have been all over it. And yeah, he actually had a lot of people calling in, asking for tips and stuff. And he had this laptop open where he would just search. I don't know what database or whatever he was searching, because after a while, if they picked a different system, he would have to wait for it to load. So I don't think it was like an Excel file or something, but yeah. And it was obvious that, I don't know if he was a little bit too young for the NES, but, like the person would ask, hey, do you have, a Mega Man 4 code? And he'd be like, well, for which system?
Right.
For NES. But he and his co-host actually handled some, I guess you would call them internet trolls today, but someone trolling him, really well. He has really good, I guess not just the internet makes people horrible, just I guess people are just jerks in general.
Yeah. If you read any history books, you realize people are jerks.
yeah. But they handled it pretty gracefully and didn't seem to take any offense to people being not too nice to him. But most of the people, I would say, only one person per episode was mean to him. Most people were great to him, and these episodes are available on YouTube, and I highly recommend people to go watch these.
And then they're working with Internet Archive to give them a place you can download the videos to.
Oh, that is great. Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. I never had the motivation to even consider something like this. All right, so much for powering through these. Castlevania's canceled Dreamcast game discovered in playable prototype.
Yes, and the person is anonymous who put this video up where they actually play it. So it's just a camera pointing at a screen, and he puts the disc in and plays it, and it definitely looks better than any Castlevania 3D game that came out for the Nintendo 64. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have to kind of wonder if maybe it's a hoax, but, like a fan game, but I guess eventually it will be out on the internet and people can download it and judge for themselves.
Yeah, and hey, I would be all about a fan-made game for Dreamcast. That'd be cool.
So from the list of projects that will be taken down soon, Metroid Prime 2D fan remake. So this is Metroid Prime, but in 2D by fans.
It's taken down.
Oh, it's taken down? Okay, good.
But on Twitch and YouTube, there are streamers who have played it. They got it before it's taken down. You could still watch those. And I watched one, and careful when watching those. Not all of them are family friendly. The one I was watching, the guy kept dropping some F-bombs. But it's a really good game. The person who did this it did a great job, and everyone seems to agree that Nintendo should take some, learn some lessons from Sega and maybe offer this guy a job to finish this, and then everyone makes money, and then fans are happy. But doubt
that will never happen.
0% chance. But I think people should watch this video because it's I never really played Metroid Prime because I'm not really into first person shooters. So this kind of opened it up to me, you know. Mario 64 PC mod adds permadeath, 60 frames per second, and new moves. So this is a mod only for the PC port of Mario 64, which is not legit, but somehow you could still download it. It's called Mario 64 Plus. And it adds a spin jump, fixes camera movement, 60 frames per second, and a lot of quality of life type things. So pretty cool. You know, if anyone is, if any of our listeners is playing any of these mods on PC, like the Mario 64 one, please let us know. Email at retrogameclub.net. I would love to. I don't know anyone that's, messing around with it, so I'd just love to hear what you think about it.
What else? Nintendo Superfan recreates the company's 19th century office to use it as a storage room.
Yes, for all his Nintendo stuff. And it looks cool. And he did, since it was torn down years ago, he had to do it all from photos. So this could also be retitled Rich Japanese Guy Does a Thing.
Could be, yeah. Actually, no, this is Rich French Guy Does a Thing.
Oh, I thought it was in Japan. Oh,
no,
wow.
No.
He's in France.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he did, I don't know if he did the construction himself or hired somebody, but it's certainly good work.
It's beautiful, yeah. But, so it's a 19th century little building, I guess, in the middle of France.
Yeah. I'm debating ordering this next item here. So there's now a Castlevania Games is making a Sega CD backup RAM card. I would like this if it had like an SD card slot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is one of those weird items. This is a review on Retro RGB, one of our favorite sites, and the Ultra CD RAM.
So you have a Sega CD.
Okay.
Either model. And you can use this to make backup copies of your save games, or move save games to the cartridge because the built-in battery in the Sega CD is not very large.
Okay. Now I understand this thing.
But this is like a repro of the original cart, which is based on a battery. So they say it comes with a replaceable lithium-ion battery. That lasts up to 13 years, which is fine. I would really like it's $70, but like this thing, but with an SD card slot is actually what I would like.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about a battery, or at least like a USB port, so you could copy the stuff to your computer.
Yeah, or if I want to play through one of the Lunar games, but I don't want to do a bunch of grinding, I could, hack the save game on the SD card and then copy it over.
Yeah. So maybe wait till version 2 of this.
Yeah, and maybe there's some like technical I mean, I think it's I'm still really considering buying one, even with that issue, because my Sega CD battery has been long dead. So it's still a good project. Like, I don't want to sound negative on it.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And it's funny, this the Google ads for this site have lithium ion batteries for for that model.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty smart.
Yeah, my ad blocker completely has that blocked.
There's a new Dolphin emulator update. So the Dolphin emulator is for GameCube and Wii, and it just adds a way to freely move a camera around a game that you aren't supposed to. So it kind of opens the game world up for you a little bit, and it's a little built-in hacking tool. Kind of a neat little feature.
Yeah, I think people will find some really cool stuff with that.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of cool YouTube videos being made with this thing.
Let's see, Super Mario Brothers speedrun record broken. That was all over the internet.
You had some comments about this.
Isn't he playing on an emulator?
Yeah, so I know what you're saying, where it's like, it shouldn't count, but he's obviously, because he's playing with a keyboard. He's not even playing with a controller. And,
right, which right away tells me it's an emulator.
But I listened to some, actually, one of the best Mario 3 speedrunners, Mitch Flower Power on Twitch. He's really a pretty funny guy to watch. What he says is like, you could do this on, your speedrun counts on anything, but, your Nintendo Classic Mini and most emulators are actually just a tad bit slower than the real hardware. So, good luck. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But, and these guys are also, they play it so much that if there was anything funky going on, like if they think, they made it like 1 megahertz faster or 1 frame a second faster or something, they would catch on to that pretty quickly. But he was able to do it by a built-in glitch in level 8.1 where you get past the flag at the end of the stage 0.35 seconds faster. Cool, I guess. But I understand what you're saying. Like, it'd be better if this was on real hardware.
Yeah, or using a real controller, because I don't know, like, for instance, if you had so like a Link Between Worlds, you're at least familiar with that.
Yeah.
There's some speedrunning glitches that require you to press like left and right at the same time to execute them. Mm-hmm. Which obviously you can't do on a real Super Nintendo controller, but you could do on, like, if you wired a keyboard to work with your Super Nintendo, you could do it on there.
Yeah. So
I'm sort of also worried, not worried, but like, worried would imply that I care deeply. I don't actually care. I'm skeptical that perhaps there's a glitch you can only exploit using a keyboard that you could not use on an NES controller.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
House of the Dead remake coming to Nintendo Switch. I never played the original.
You never, at like Dave & Buster's or something, you never played the House of the Dead?
No, the smell of Dave & Buster's makes me nauseous, but no, I've not.
It's a great Lycon game, so you'll use your Switch Joy-Cons to do this. So I guess you won't be playing this on a Switch Lite.
Probably not. No. Nope. Although I probably will get the Switch Pro when that comes out. Whatever they're calling it. If it comes out. Mostly because I just want a bigger screen.
I hope they call it the new Switch XL. That's what I want them to call it. Just so they have their stupid naming schemes.
Yes. Pac-Man 99 is out on Switch.
It looks good. It's getting good reviews, unlike Mario 99, or Mario 35, I guess it was called.
Yeah.
I was a fan of Tetris 99, still am, and this looks great. I've read some reviews. Well, that's a lie. I've listened to some podcast reviews, and people are pretty hot on this one. So I'm going to download it and try it out.
Okay. I might try it. I don't know. Do you have to play this online?
What they do for this stuff is the free version you have to play online, or you give them like $4 and then you could use the AI to play by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
It's worth $4 or whatever to me.
I'm sure it's worth $4. I have no desire to play online.
But I played Tetris 99 alone and online, and I honestly didn't notice a difference because there's no talking or text or chat or anything, so it might as well just be AI. So Yeah. We got 2 more here.
Let's see. Article about Minish Cap. Fun little, fun but kind of weird Zelda game.
This is one of the few I've never played. Yeah, the guy pretty much says that, Zelda's been keeping stuff real by changing stuff up, and this is a perfect example, and it's the only Zelda game that you could really compare to Dark Souls.
Why is that? Because it's more difficult than the average Zelda game, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, but, and he thinks it's funny that, it's the only Zelda game that, a choo-choo is a real opponent. Usually those are just kind of in your way.
Right, because part of the game involves Link shrinking to, I don't know what size, not large size, but all the enemies are now, the smallest, weakest enemies are now huge.
Yeah. So you think I would like this game?
Well, if you like Zelda games, yeah.
Yeah, I got to get this on my list. It's one of the few I haven't played, so
it's developed by Capcom, right? It's not a Nintendo game.
Mm-hmm.
But it plays, mechanically, it's just like any of the other Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color Zelda games.
Yeah, and it's really the handheld Zelda games that have passed me by.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of dumbest news of the week, but we have to cover it.
Yeah, this is the weekly People Make Doom Run on Something article.
Yes, and it's on Hackaday, per usual, and it's... I guess it's called a chicken bump bar. Those can now play Doom. And what those are is if you're a chef or whatever working in the kitchen of a restaurant, it's the screen that orders come through on. So so now between orders, you can kill some demons.
Yeah, so it's basically the restaurant screen. Which again, even these trivial devices... probably have pretty decent hardware behind them.
Yeah, it's an early 2000s machine, so yeah, it's not too surprising. And the fact that Doom has been ported to every processor in the world makes it pretty easy. But that's our news. A lot of fun stories this week.
Yeah.
Want to do your Game Club game first, since mine will probably be a bit longer?
Yeah. So I did Dragon's Trap / Curse. They're the same game, different title. I was playing the remake on the Switch. I played through it last year. Played it a little bit more now. And yeah, it's a game often compared to Metroid because it's a side-scrolling game where you're kind of moving through a world in different directions. I actually found like I got into it because I'd played the Shantae games recently, and I feel like those are pretty heavily inspired by Dragon's Trap. Mm-hmm. And the premise is that it picks up literally at the ending of the previous game in the series. Like you start in the last dungeon of the previous game, and you fight the last boss from the previous game, and then after you defeat them, they curse you and turn you into a dragon-like creature. And you have to try and regain your humanity by picking up other transformations. Fishman, Birdman, Mouseman, all that stuff. Before finally getting back your original form. And then there's like different armor each form can equip, and stores sometimes won't sell you things based on which character you are because there's some hierarchy of creatures, I guess, in this world. And then each of those creatures has different abilities and different parts of the map that they can reach. Mm-hmm. So it's not a very long game. I think the whole game is probably only like 4 or 5 hours. If you even starting from scratch, it's pretty short. But I'd say it's a pretty fun game. I've always liked this one a lot. I think I first played on Sega Master System and was really impressed. Like for the time, it was a very advanced Master System game, I thought.
Oh yeah, it seemed to look better than anything on Nintendo at the time. To me, at least.
Yeah, I actually strangely like it better than the TurboGrafx version. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. I've never played that one.
Yeah, it's also good, but something I don't know why I like the Master System version better. I don't think I can really articulate it, but the Switch version is really good. It seems like they cranked up the difficulty on it a bit, though.
So in this, and also you chose this because last episode we did Adventure Island, and
yeah,
they're cousins, I guess.
Yeah, whatever bizarre relationship these games have with each other.
So did you play in the Switch port, you can choose between new graphics and original graphics. Which did you play?
I did new graphics, just because I felt like playing it, with the newer art style. I thought it'd be kind of cool. It is. It's a really nice art style.
Mm-hmm. When I play this, I did a mix of both, and yeah, the new art style is gorgeous. What impressed me was that they play exactly the same. The hitboxes are exactly the same. It doesn't feel like you're playing a different game. It just looks gorgeous. And I mixed between the two just because I wanted to see how they did each level, and I was really impressed. I mean, to me, that seems like it would have been difficult programming, but I'm not a game programmer, so I don't know.
Yeah, it might be pretty trivial just to swap out textures. I mean, it would be hard to do on a different console, but like on a modern console, I suspect it's not any different than switching, costumes for a character.
Okay. Yeah, I beat this one too. I really like this game. It plays so great. The hitboxes are really fair. Mouse Man, I think, was a little bit annoying.
Very, very, yeah. You do. That's definitely where you die the most. With Mouse Man, what the problem is like he's got that wall grip ability, and even in the original and the remake, it is really spotty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you die.
Yeah.
You have to start over. Yeah. Any final thoughts on that one?
No, I mean, I definitely think this is a game people have to get. It's on 3 different systems. Maybe it's also on Steam. Probably is. Who knows? But yeah, get some version of this game. Switch, you can get it both. You can still get physical copies from Amazon. I mean, that's where I got it. Mm-hmm. It's not like a super limited game. I thought for some reason it was like a limited run games physical release, but it's just a regular release.
Oh yeah, I thought it was too. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, I just straight up ordered it. Came with a mini soundtrack. I mean that like literally, like it's on one of those miniature CD-ROM discs.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with you. I think anyone who hasn't played this, I mean, definitely play this game if you like retro gaming. It's a great part of retro gaming history that a lot of people missed. All right, moving on to mine. Super Metroid. This is going to be pretty spoiler filled. So, I mean, you're listening to, it's very old. So it came out in 94, so it shouldn't matter too much. But yeah, this is the 3rd Metroid game in the series. And the end of the second one, which is on Game Boy, you take a little Metroid with you that kind of imprinted you as its mother. And so it kind of starts out at the lab you took it to. All the scientists are dead. The Metroid's missing. The space pirate Ridley took it back to, do you pronounce it Zebes? How do you pronounce that? Is that right? Zebes?
Yeah. Let's go with either of those.
Okay. Zebs, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure people will at me about that. But anyway, so you go back to the planet. It's cool to see everything in 16-bit now. This is the first time I played through this game. It was just one I never got on Super Nintendo. And I did play it on the Switch Online. Having Rewind was very helpful because there's a lot of times where you have to wall jump, you have to use a biotic commando type grip thing that you use to attach to ceilings and swing from. So if you miss that, rewind, do it again. That really helped. I think if I used more of a game fact, I would have been able to beat this pretty quickly, but it took me, it tells you how long at the end, and it was 8 hours and 6 minutes. But anyway, you have to defeat Mother Brain and Ridley again. Just like any Metroid game, you get different power-ups that get you to different parts of the planet. And man, this is a beautiful game, great music. For its time, one of the best mapping systems. Great hitboxes, great, really great everything. There's nothing wrong with this game. I totally see why it was praised, and I agree with with everything about it. There isn't many complaints I could think of other than there's one update you get where you can run fast and kind of plow through walls.
Yeah.
And
also like super jump.
Yeah. And it, to me, maybe it's because I didn't read a manual or anything, but it didn't explain that well to me. So I didn't know about the super jump, and I didn't know about the when you see that you could do that stuff, run through walls. I mean, it shows you like a little arrow that, you know, designates like you could run through this wall. What I didn't realize was it doesn't matter which way the arrow is pointing. You could just run through it.
Yeah.
And so
you got confused by that. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah.
So I that probably added a good hour and a half, if not 2 hours, to my run. I may be exaggerating, but it definitely felt that long. And there were definitely some power-ups, like energy cubes that I did not get because of that. And that's when I had to go to I think IGN GameFAQs to see what they did at certain parts, and it's like, oh, okay, I apparently am an idiot. But I love this game. You know, I never played Metroid Fusion. It makes me want to play that game now. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I played through this. I didn't play through it in the past week just because I didn't have time. But I played through it during quarantine. During quarantine part 1 at least. On the Super Nintendo Classic Mini or whatever it's called. I know it's on Switch too, but I just felt like playing it on the TV. And yeah, it's still really fun. I played it back in the day. I played it in probably 95 or 96. I happened to be working at a game store when it launched. It was a really big deal at the time. You think about it like it had been 6 or so years since people got a new Metroid game. I'm kind of not counting Metroid 2 in there, just because Metroid 2 is actually a very good Metroid game. But being on Game Boy Advance, a lot of people, or regular Game Boy, a lot of people missed it, I think, or didn't regard it as a proper Metroid game. Anyway, yeah, definitely a lot of like secrets to find. If you like that part of it, then like, Metroid Returns you might like, because there's definitely a lot of, having to go back through areas to look for hidden things. The difficulty was a little bit easier than I remember. It could be that the last Metroid game I played was Samus Returns, which is the Metroid 2 remake, and it is really, really hard. I barely got through a couple boss fights in that thing. Whereas the boss fights in Super Metroid are pretty easy overall. I mean, one of them you just have to shoot the grappling hook or whatever at a lightning fixture on the wall and you win.
Yeah. Mother Brain was the only one I had, the second phase of Mother Brain I had a bit problem with, but here's another reason why I'm not the smartest human on the planet.
Okay.
So I was, what would the right term be? Rewind scumming this, I guess you could call it. At the end battles, there's one point where a giant Metroid starts sucking all your life away.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh God, no, I'm about to die. I didn't, create a save state. So I kept rewinding and I would never let it get to the end. And then finally I was like, well, I guess I'm stuck here. Let's just see what happens. Yeah. And finally what happens. And then
the thing that's supposed to happen, right? Like there's no...
Exactly. I kept rewinding before it happened. And then a similar thing happens during the second phase of the Mother Brain fight. Before you get the, what's it called? The plasma... whatever the end gun is that you shoot like 3 times. I kept rewinding that part and starting over that battle again until I was finally like, let's just see what happens. And
so you should never play like Final Fantasy VII with rewind enabled, right?
Exactly. Yes. And probably, there were probably a lot of games. So I was emailing Zach a lot about this because it's one of his all-time favorites. And he was giving me some advice, but I think I was explaining where I was incorrectly, when I was talking about running through the walls and stuff. So
yeah. So one other thing about Super Metroid is I feel like Super Metroid invented speedrunning. Because it tells you how long you... So the original Metroid, there were different endings based on how quickly you finished the game, but you had no idea what those time thresholds were. Whereas in Super Metroid, it actually tells you how long it took you to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It has a running clock.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember talking, like, I remember one dude at the time who was really obsessed with, like, getting down to under 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. So it kind of motivated people to start speedrunning it.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
I think it was 2
sense.
hours he was trying to get under. I'm going to find out, like, the world record is 3 hours when I look this up now. I think it was sub 2 hours he was really, like, obsessed with trying to get. Yeah, so the world record is, like, 27 minutes. Real time, 40 minutes. In-game time, 27 minutes. So getting it down under 2 hours was perhaps impressive for 1995, but in the scheme of things, not really.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, you talked a little bit about Metroid 2 on Game Boy. You know, that was remade into Samus Returns, or Return Samus, one or the other on 3DS. I thought it was a fantastic game, but, you know, it added the parry feature, which you weren't hot on. And I played that obviously first, since I played it a few years ago before I played Super Metroid, and I definitely see that they were trying to recreate Super Metroid for Metroid 2, and I thought they did a fantastic job. So if any listener hasn't played that one, I would definitely pick it up.
See, now I'm trying to figure out if maybe he was trying to do a 100% run. All right, doesn't matter. I don't remember this dude's name, just what he looked like.
So, what are you going to play for next Game Club?
I don't know. Oh, since we're talking about Pac-Man 99, I'm going to go with one of my favorite enhanced Pac-Mans, Pac-Man Arrangement. So this was an arcade game that is also on, like, all the Namco collections. It was never sold as a standalone game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to play that one. I think I've only played it in arcade. I don't think I own it on anything.
You probably own it on something.
I'll have to look around. I'm going to do an old classic, Bump and Jump, a very fun game that is on many 8-bit systems.
Yeah, that's one of those weird games where I think I like the Intellivision version better than the arcade version.
I agree. So if any of our listeners have played any of these games, or have any thoughts on any of these games, or news articles that we've read, or have anything cool they're working on that is retro, email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net, or hit us up on Facebook, facebook.retrogameclub.net, or Twitter at RGC Podcast. And I think we have one email this week.
It's from Joe. He says he wanted to chime in on the latest games, which are early titles in the genre now typically called Metroidvania. He said he had a Master System growing up, but didn't realize until much later how good the Wonder Boy games were, Wonder Boy 3 specifically. He has the Switch remake, and it's a lot of fun, but he did get stuck at one point and still hasn't finished it. And he just learned the PC Engine version was published by Hudson and is called Adventure Island, which is all very confusing. Yeah, maybe there's two games, right? Like, there is an Adventure Island on PC Engine, and there's also the Dragon's Trap, and it's super, like, again, there's sort of like adjacent franchises, but it is very confusing. He goes on to say Super Metroid is one of his favorite games in the Super Nintendo. A friend recommended it to me, saying the only thing he might not like was the exploding death animation, which I guess is a little bit disturbing. He enjoyed the game even though he didn't know much about the previous two games. It does a good job of telling a story without having long texts or cutscenes. The graphics and sound really showcase the Super Nintendo's strengths and show how it's a very different system from the Genesis. And he, in school, had heard the rumor that you could save the little green creatures at the end, which has a very small change to the ending.
Is that true or no?
That is true. Yeah, I've done that.
Well,
you didn't save your friends.
Different?
After the planet blows up, you see, like, another ship escaping.
So how do you save... Sorry, I'm just spending so much time on this. How do you save the green creatures?
So during the part where the planet's, like, exploding, you have to use the X-ray vision, and there's, like, another room, and, like, the little creatures that helped you throughout the game are all kind of, like, huddled up in the room. And then I think you blast a door open for them, and then they escape.
Oh, I feel bad. I let them all die.
Yeah, you got to go rewind back to that part.
You're right. Yeah, I feel guilty.
Save them. Yeah. You have so much time during that ending sequence. It's not like you're going to run out of time.
Yeah, I didn't know. It was the only time I went through it, but yeah.
Yeah. And then he said that this was one of the first games he played when he got the Super Nintendo Classic.
I don't blame him. Well, cool. Joe, thank you for that email. It's got some good social media feedback. Zach's questions were, what are your favorite retro game remakes, and what are your favorite Metroid weapons and upgrades? And about Super Metroid, French Pat writes in saying, the same as me, he never got around to playing it back in the day. He remembers the weekend it was released, and it was at Blockbuster Video. They had a bunch of copies on the shelf. His brother rented it, and he probably rented something dumb like dinosaurs for hire.
I forgot about that game. Yeah.
And 1991 being the best year in gaming. For some reason, French Pet remembers 97 being a mind-blowing year. Final Fantasy VII, GoldenEye, Tekken 3, and then what else? We got 95 for the same reason, had a lot of great games, but just the 90s were just incredible. And then Michael writes in, and he votes for 2000 be the year. He makes a very valid argument here. Yeah,
and it's sort of, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I look at the list, at least one of these actually is a game that came out earlier, but a lot of them were like games that have been backlogged in Japan for a while that then all kind of flooded the US at the same time. Like Chrono Cross was a 99 release in Japan, just barely. And part of my arguments for like 95 being a good year have the same factor. Like, here's a backlog of Japanese RPGs that all came out at once. And you see that for sure in 2000 also.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to be 25, 30 games here. And I mean, Jet Grind Radio, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Shenmue, Skies of Arcadia, Space Channel 5. So a lot of Dreamcast games there. And let's see, Final Fantasy 9, Majora's Mask, Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, Banjo-Tooie. Yeah, just a lot of great stuff. World is not enough. So that is a very valid argument. Robert writes in saying it would be kind of hard to say. It might be easier to say, what are the subpar years?
Yeah, like 84.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, try and do like a podcast on like best games of 1984. I really, really challenge you on that one.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Thank you, everyone, for the social media and letting us butcher your emails and what you write to us on Facebook and Twitter. I promise we don't try to butcher stuff. It just kind of happens naturally.
Yeah, I don't try to not butcher stuff, though.
True, yeah. Yeah, my problem is I'm just not good at reading out loud. So it's a lot of skimming and hopefully reading ahead. But again, that email address, email@retrogameclub.net or facebook.retrogameclub.net or at RGC Podcast. And Zach will curate all that for us.
Yes, appreciate all of his work on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the crazy emails I send him. But I think that wraps her up. We're working on some really cool interviews coming up really soon.
I hope so. Yes. It'll work out. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.